As usual, I present to you the analysis of two favorite poems in Tanzania, A Freedom Song and The Dying Child. These poems talk about the lack of children's rights. Children are abused. They are tortured by their parents. Some are tortured by their siblings. Others are tortured by society around them. There are children who are not sent to school. They are made to work as house girl or houseboy. There are children who are not given good care or good parental care by their parents and the siblings. They use bad languages or abusive language to abuse them. Marjorie Oludhe of a poem, A Freedom Song, composed the poem with the aim of educating society to stop child labor, exploitation of young children. She also reminded us that children should be given good parental care so that they become better members of society in the future. She also says that children should be sent to school to fulfill their so that they can help the nation later. He reminds us parents to love all children, even if they are not their own children. Marjorie Oludhe has used the example of Atieno's 8-year-old daughter. Atieno is an orphan who lost her parents when she was young and was later adopted by her uncle who lives in the city. Atieno's uncle has a wife who does not work. Atieno's arrival was a joy for him. He did all the household chores for him every day. He is woken up early in the morning. He sleeps in the kitchen. She sleeps in the kitchen. Her bed is circles. Atieno wants to go to school, but she is not sent to school. She is hurt when she sees her fellow children going to school. Dear students who are studying literature in English and English language, Form 3 and Form 4, Tanzania, even I, teacher Karigo Njige, I remind you of the writing of Marjorie Oludhe from London, England. Her writings touch our lives and our society that exploits young generation or young people. Marjorie Oludhe was born in 1928 and went to Kenya in 1954 and married by a Kenyan man. She died in 2015. Later, I will read the poem A Freedom Song and the second poem, The Dying Child by Freeman Lwamba. This is a Tanzanian poet. He composed the poem in the year of 1970s with the aim of criticizing the bad leadership that does not care about their children. Also, it shows that the weakness of leaders lead to losing the dreams of young children or young generation. Young people lose hope and give up, all because of bad leadership with a bad system that does not care about its people. If you read this poem, you will see the two people fighting each other. Those people are a mother and her son. At the beginning of the poem, we see the person who speaks of this poem, who is an observer, witnessing the conversation between a mother and her son. The speaker tells us that the conversation was related to the pain and suffering that this well-seen young man has saying that he will not use politics or influential words to get a better life, meaning even pen will kill a gun to find happiness and a better life in his community. His mother has given up and saying that her son will not be able to kill a gun because the current leadership does not care about his people, and ends by saying that they do not have a good life and they will die soon for hunger. Dear listener, the persona explained to us that the child's appearance is very thin. His arms and legs are thin, and his stomach is full of dirt. He is struggling with hunger. He is fighting flies on an empty plate. This poem talks about the themes of poverty, malnutrition, disappointment, awareness, and sacrifice. For a child who decides to fight bad leadership, classes are also shown in this poem between the poor and the government. Freeman Peter Lwamba composed this poem to encourage the young people to be strong in fighting for their rights and rights of children so that they can have a better life in the future. This is why a child understands the importance of fighting enemies so that he has hope for his life and his community. I, teacher Karigo Njike, born in Shinyanga, have brought you this analysis so that you can gain knowledge about the dying child. What does it mean? Is a dead child. That is a child who lacked hope and support in his community, remains hungry without any food support from the leaders. I ask you to be strong in defending your rights so that you have a better society in the future. And those who will be leaders, I ask you to help your society so that they benefit from the education you got. There are many people who are suffering from hunger in our communities. I'm asking you once again to listen to the poem A Freedom Song composed by Marjorie Oludhe in the year of 1960s after leaving the Luo tribe in Kenya. She saw for herself that young children were being subjected to domestic work. Example, house girl, she decided to compose this poem to criticize and rebuke people who commit such atrocities. I will explain in Swahili the meaning of each verse, and after this poem, I will analyze the second poem, The Dying Child, by Freeman Peter Lwamba. The person of this poem is Atieno's uncle. His tone is normal or usual, not hurt by Atieno's abuse by his wife. He's telling us after the days of Atieno, when he gave birth at a young age of 14 years old. I am teacher Karigo Njike. My mood is very sad and sympathetic because I'm hurt by the death and abuse language that Atieno went through while at his uncle's house. Listen, the poem. A freedom song in Swahili we call Wimbo wa Uhuru. Atieno washes dishes. Atieno anaosha vyombo. Atieno plugs the kitchen. Atieno anachuna kuku. Atieno gets up early. Atieno anaamka mapema. Beds her sacks down in the kitchen. Vitanda vyake na mifuko na hulala jikoni. Atieno 8 years old. Atieno ana umri wa miaka 8. Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Since she is my sister's child, kwa kuwa yeye ni mtoto wa dada yangu. Atieno needs no pay. Atieno hahitaji malipo. While she works, my wife can sit. Wakati anafanya kazi, mke wangu anaweza kukaa. Sewing each Sunday, kushona kila siku ya jua. With the earning I support, kwa mapato yake na muunga mkono. Atieno yo, Atieno wewe. Atieno sly and jealous. Atieno ni mjanja na mwenye wivu. Bad example to the kids. Mfano mbaya kwa watoto. Since she minds them like a school girl. Kwa kuwa anawajali kama msichana wa shule. Wants their dresses, shoes and bits. Anataka nguo zao, viatu na shanga. Atieno 10 years old. Atieno umri wa miaka 10. Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Now my wife has gone to study. Sasa mke wangu ameenda kusoma. Atieno less free. Atieno hana bure. Don't I feed her? School my own ones. Nisimlishe shule za kwangu. Pay the party union fee. Lipa chama, ada ya chama. All for progress. Are not you grateful? Yote kwa maendeleo. Je, huna shukrani? Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Visitors need much attention. Wageni wanahitaji umakini mkubwa. Especially when I work night. Hasa ninapofanya kazi usiku. That girl stay too long at market. Msichana huyo anakaa muda mrefu sokoni. Who will teach her what is right? Nani atamfundisha yaliyo sawa? Atieno rising 14. Atieno anafikisha umri wa miaka 14. Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Atieno had a baby. Atieno ana mtoto. So we know that she is bad. Kwa hivyo tunajua kuwa yeye ni vibaya. 50-50 tumelive. 50 na 50 inaweza kuishi. To repeat the life she had. Kurudia maisha aliyokuwa nayo. Ending in postpartum bleeding. Kuishia na kutokwa na damu baada ya kuzaa. Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Atieno soon replaced. Atieno alibadilishwa hivi karibuni. Meat and sugar more than all. Nyama na sukari zaidi kuliko vyote. She ate in such narrow life. Alikula katika maisha nyembamba sana. Were lavished in her funeral. Walibarikiwa katika mazishi yake. Atieno gone to glory. Atieno amekwenda kwenye utukufu. Atieno yo. Atieno wewe. Dear listener, the types of poem according to form is traditional poem because of equal number of verses in each stanza. Also according to content is a lyric poem because it expresses strong feelings about exploitation done by Atieno's uncle, wife, and also it is a narrative poem because it narrates the life of Atieno. This poem is about a young girl called Atieno who is mistreated by her own maternal uncle. She works without pay. She is not sent to school. She lacks parental guidance. That she gets ill, pregnant. As a result, she ends in death due to postpartum bleeding. Dear listener, are you familiar with poetic devices? This is a part that helps the students to know the structure of the poem. Poetic devices are made up of 3 categories. Number 1, structural devices. Number 2, sound or musical devices. And the last, sense or literal devices. Let me start with structural devices. These categories help to know the structure of the poem's visual. Let me ask you what you see in this poem. Number 1, there are 7 stanzas in this poem. Number 2, there are 42 verses. You can account. Number 3, repetition of words are like Atieno, yo, repeated several times to emphasize exploitation of Atieno. Number 4 is punctuation mark, also employed in this poem, the use of comma, full stop to separate 2 verses and other verses. Number 5 is refrain. Every stanza ends with a refrain line, Atieno yo. Number 6, anaphora, example, the word Atieno repeated at the beginning of each verse. Example, Atieno washes dishes. Atieno plugs the kitchen. Atieno gets up early. The word Atieno repeated at the beginning of each verse. The second poetic device is sound devices. Marjorie or employed irregular rhyme, also employed irregularism. Also, there is a use of alternation, the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of each word in consecutive lines. Example, the consonant sound P repeated at the beginning Pay part union fee, P, pay part. Another example of alternation, Atieno needs no pay. The consonant sound N repeated at the beginning. Atieno needs no pay. Another example of alternation is consonant sound F repeated at the beginning, 50-50. Another sound device is consonant sound. Example Y, consonant sound Y repeated at the end of two words. Example 50-50, consonant sound Y at the end. The last point device is sense devices. Number one is imagery. The poem uses vivid imagery to describe Atieno's life and surroundings, such as plugs, the kitchen, and the beds are sacked down in the kitchen. This image creates a sensory experience for the reader, painting a picture of Atieno, daily task, and the environment. Another sense devices, auditory devices, number two, is iron. There is an ionic tone when the speaker mentions Atieno's bad example to the kids, while simultaneously relying on her to help in the household. This contradiction highlights the complexity of her character and circumstance. The last sense device is symbolism. Symbolism. Atieno can be seen as a symbol of youth and the challenges faced by the young girls in the society. Her experiences reflect the broader themes of responsibility, societal expectation, and the cycle of life, serving as a representation of the struggles and realities of coming of age in a demanding environment. A freedom song is a poem that still touches our lives, especially for young children. I ask you to continue to analyze the second poem, The Dying Child, by Freeman Peter Lwamba. The person of this poem is an observer. He describes the appearance of a child who is thin because of the lack of nutrition and good food. The readers have led to destroy the future of the boy. The tone of the persona is harsh and the mood of the reader is sympathetic. Listen, I'm reading this poem and paraphrasing it in Kiswahili. This poem is used in literature in English and the English language as well as language 2. The Dying Child in Swahili we call Mtoto Anayekufa by Freeman Peter Lwamba. Thin and red, nyekundu na nyembamba, skin and bald, ngozi na upara. The boy groans on the ground, kijana anaugulia chini, swollen stomach, tumbo la kuvimba, full of waste, imejaa taka, thin legs, miguu miembamba, thin arms, mikono miembamba, twinge, anatetemeka, as the boy kama mvulana fights with flies, mapambano na nzi over the empty plate, juu ya sahani tupu. 10 years old, ana miaka 10. He looks older than 10. Anaonekana mzee zaidi ya miaka 10. And young than young, na mdogo kuliko vijana. And so small, na mdogo sana. As he wriggles, akiwa anajikunyata. Prison, amekuwa kama mfungwa. Of his unproportioned body, ya mwili wake usio na uwiano. Mother, shout the boy. Mama, kijana anapiga kelele. When I grow up, ninapokuwa, I will carry a gun, nitapepa bunduki, and not a pen, na sio kalamu. My son, shout the mother. Mama anapiga kelele. My son, cried the mother. Mwanangu analia mama. You will never live to carry a gun. Kama hutaishi kubeba bunduki, there is no meat for us. Hakuna nyama kwetu. This for me, it is modern poem according to modern poem. According to form and not according to modern. According to form, it is a modern poem because of an equal number of verses in each stanza. Also, according to content, it is a narrative poem because the persona narrates the lives of mother and her son. Also, it is a lyric poem because it expresses strong feelings about poor condition of a young boy. It is about a son. This poem is about a son and a mother who live in absolute poverty. It shows that those in the poor